Spoiler, it was hard for me to endure, but I did end up enjoying it, so I'm very grateful for that. But to add on top of my sensory sensitivities, I was also on my period. I got my period the day before that we flew down, and I just thought the universe was playing an extremely sick joke on me. I promise, I swear to God, I feel like it was stress-induced because it was not due. I feel like I just spent so much time constantly worrying and stressing and packing and doing the traveling and making sure everything was booked and having a plan and having a backup plan in case the first 3 plans fell through. I think that just triggered on flow to come. But like I said, I endured it. I survived. I didn't go down without a fight. So, I ended up buying tickets. It was a surprise for my partner. Her favorite artist is J. Cole, and I had to get them for her. There was no way I was going to let the fifth and final Dreamville happen and have her miss out on it. So I bought us tickets months in advance. I booked our hotel pretty soon thereafter. I bought the tickets. I just didn't want to get down there and not know where we were gonna go, obviously. And I got us pretty close to the venue. I was actually shocked that they still had vacancy open because I'm pretty sure this Dreamville this year completely sold out. There were like 100,000 people over the course of the 2-day event there. It was absolutely insane. So the actual travel, getting to North Carolina, getting to Raleigh was pretty smooth. Of course, I have anxiety, but overall it was a good trip there. We checked into our hotel. Everything was super smooth, so we ended up going the day before the actual event started. So on Friday, and then the event, the festival itself was going from Saturday to Sunday. So we just used Friday to kind of settle into the hotel, decompress, prepare everything that we needed for Saturday and Sunday, setting out clothes, setting out our backpack, our fanny pack, just everything that mostly me, I needed to do in order to feel confident going into the actual festival. And when I tell you that I packed a clear backpack to the brim of things, I'm not kidding. My poor girlfriend, she was just lugging it around the entire time. At day 2, she was like, "Do you think there's anything that we can take out to make it a little bit lighter?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." You know what I took out? I took out one of the 2 portable phone chargers that was in there. She put up with it. She did. But I don't know, you just never know. Like, what if one portable charger isn't working? And then you're just stuck with a dead phone. I'm not about to be stuck with a dead phone in a crowd of 50 to 100,000 people in an unfamiliar place. Not happening. So yes, I do feel like 2 chargers was mandatory. I didn't even end up using the chargers. Like, I just put my phone on low power mode and sparingly took photos and videos. But anyways, out in the sun, I just turn red and go back to being extremely, extremely, extremely pale. But I think the southern sun did something for me. Glowing, obviously. Anyways, so we checked into our hotel Friday, and of course I was having these really big feelings of anxiety, and I was like, babe, I don't know if I can do it. I'm really scared. I want to make sure that I can last the whole day Sunday, from the time that we check out of our hotel to the time that J. Cole performs. So I advocated for myself, please clap, and I told her, I was like, I think Saturday, the best I can do is a half a day. And of course she was totally fine with it. She's absolutely incredible. She's like, do whatever you gotta do. Our one and only request that weekend was to see J. Cole, and we did. So we ended up just having a slow start Saturday, just enjoying our time. I took a nap before we even went to the festival. We had a nice lunch, and we ended up getting there like 15 minutes before Keisha Cole performed, and she was absolutely phenomenal. I thought she sounded incredible. She looked incredible. I know everybody on TikTok is making fun of her for the shorts she wore, saying they look like pullouts, but I thought she looked really cute. I don't know. Anyways, so we were waiting in line to get drinks, and I'm just gonna let you guess how much you think a double mixed drink was. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $32. I said the same thing, right? $32. What? And I didn't even finish mine. My girlfriend didn't even finish hers. It wasn't good. I don't know how you mess something like that up. It's very straightforward. But I guess it was because everything, it was so hot out. It was so hot. I was dying. We took that Uber from the hotel to the park that it was hosted at. Y'all, I had to walk a quarter-mile from the Uber drop-off site into that festival. I went nonverbal. My girlfriend was trying to talk to me. I was just trying to focus on breathing in that hot, humid pollen air. My legs are falling off. I'm wearing Vans. Okay, this is how underprepared I was. I ended up buying new shoes for it a couple months beforehand, and I broke them in, and they were great. But my anxiety was like, no, I haven't had them as long as I've had my Vans. I know they're gonna give me a problem. So let's wear a flat shoe to a festival. But in my head, I'm like, no, it's fine, because I've had them for so long. They're like bolted to my feet now, essentially. And they held up surprisingly well. Only in the beginning, when I was just cognizant of the surface that I was on that pavement going uphill, said I made it. I survived it, apparently. Yeah, all the performers that we saw were absolutely incredible. I got to see Glorilla, which was a dream of mine. She looked so good. She sounded so good. Lil Wayne was there. Party Next Door was there. Big X the Plug, Earth Gang, 21 Savage, J. Cole, obviously. Erykah Badu was there. She was amazing. She was amazing. She looked phenomenal. I have no notes about the performers and the performances. I will say that one of their stages there was not good. Like, the sound was not projecting in the way that it should have. So they did have technical issues on one of the stages, which Ludacris was at. I could barely hear Ludacris the entire time. I'm sure if I, heard him, he sounded great, but because of the technical issues, I couldn't really hear him. And then at the main stage that J. Cole performed at, his mic was out during the first part of his performance, and he had to perform his song over again, which I'm not complaining about whatsoever. I was really nervous about night 2 seeing J. Cole perform, because I'm sure that's when the crowd is at its peak, because everybody wants to go see J. Cole perform at his event. And I will say that we got a really great spot. We were kind of like next to the food and drink stalls, and we had people passing, like a walkway almost, and most people were trying to go into the center and move up. Not me. If I can hear you, I'm fine. But I will happily take a spot all the way back there. I'm good. Just as long as I have some breathing room. Which we did. I did not realize how many people were there. Excuse me. Until my girlfriend said, just turn around. You heard me, turn around. And I'm just like turning around slowly, because I know it's gonna be a sea of people behind me, and it was. And I felt like we were in our own little bubble, our own little world. And then to actually see it behind me, and then also have the cameras panning to the crowd, and you could see it on like the giant screens. It was absolutely insane. I didn't see a full picture of the crowd until today, actually. And I don't even think I've been in a crowd that big in my entire life and not feel so overwhelmed to the point where I just like completely shut down. So I'm really proud of myself for keeping it together. Earlier into day 2, I will say I did kind of have a little bit of a shutdown, like sensory wise. Like, I was just exhausted, and I was just hearing absolutely everything, and I was hot, and we were in direct sun, and I was angry, and I could feel the clothes on my skin, and I could feel the hair on my head, and I could feel the people moving around us, and yeah, I just got to a point where I couldn't speak anymore, and I needed a second, so we went into a nice shaded area that was as quiet as it could be, and I had my loops, earplugs in, support needs and not pushing my limits, acknowledging my threshold, and doing what I can to take care of myself, and that includes wearing earplugs. And I will say, I wish I had headphones. I feel like that added pressure, I bumped my nose, on my head would have been a lot more regulating. But I will say the loops really did help a lot, and I will absolutely be wearing them in my everyday life whenever we go out. It was nice still being able to hear things, but not hear things as intensely to the point where I just feel like I'm a deer stuck in headlights. So yeah, we just laid out our towels, and I laid down for a little bit. I put a cap on my head, or on the side of my head when I was laying down, so I was in like complete darkness, or as dark as that could have made it. I just really tried grounding myself and acknowledging, like, meeting myself where I was at, essentially, and just being patient and being kind, obviously, and not getting up too quickly, because sometimes in the past I would get really frustrated whenever I would enter like a shutdown and try to bully myself back up or bully myself out of it, even though it was physically painful to do so, and such a disservice to myself and the people around me. So I really tried to be present in the moment and be there without judgment to myself, and just take the time that I needed. And I'm so glad I did, because once I finally re-regulated, it was like I got up refreshed and renewed as possible, as I possibly could have been. And I took it slow, I took it easy, and I didn't push myself after that. I advocated for my needs. I sat down when I needed to sit down. I did my grounding when I needed to do my grounding. And overall, I'm just super proud of myself for being able to endure and persevere, honestly. So yeah. But yeah, day 1 and day 2 were a success, even though I did get extremely overstimulated. The important thing is that I was just patient with myself. That's the greatest thing that you can be for yourself, is just patient and kind. Meet yourself where you're at. Don't pull yourself out of it, because you will only make it worse and harder for yourself. So at the end of night 2, after Jekyll had performed, I ended up asking my girlfriend 16 minutes out. Okay, that's fine. We've waited this long. I can wait 16 minutes. She gets about 7 minutes away from where we were. And then she makes the wrong turn. Adds about 10 minutes. Now she's 17 minutes out. And I just start laughing. So I'm like, of course, of course. And obviously she comes back. She makes her way back. She's back to where she was, that 7-minute mark. Okay, great. She makes another wrong turn. This time, she ends up even farther away. And so she's 21 minutes out. Y'all, I just went ahead and canceled it. I canceled it. I did. I did. Because we weren't getting anywhere. I felt so bad for this woman. She was just making laps around the city. And there was no end in sight. So, tears in my eyes. I tell my girlfriend, my legs are about to fall off, mind you, and it started raining, okay? And I feel like tearing my skin off whenever rain touches my skin. And so I'm huddled underneath this poncho. But I can still feel the moisture around me. It was horrific, okay? So I tell my girlfriend, I'm like, there's a bar like a mile down the road. Do you want to walk? Mind you, I'm in Vans, okay? My body's finally catching up to me. I'm conscious of my limbs now at this point after 2 days of a festival. And she said, alright, let's go. So we walk a mile to a bar, and a mile might not sound like a thing to you. If it doesn't, good for you. I don't walk. I don't run. Okay? So the entire festival was a shock to my system. The Uber and Lyft fiasco just added on top of that. Now a mile to a bar. When I'm done, physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. We walked the entire way there in silence. Yep. We ended up getting a slice of pizza when we finally made it, and some Coca-Cola. Got some Coca-Cola in our system. My blood sugar was leveling out once more. I was feeling as back to normal as one possibly could. And we're trying the Uber app again. We're trying. There are Ubers in your area. Okay, great. So why aren't they accepting the ride? Because they know the traffic that's over here. Okay, so in my attempt, this sheer desperation, I say, okay, we gotta get like a luxury Uber. I don't know, it was insanely expensive. But I was tired of trying to get like the Uber X, I think that's what it's called. I don't know, I don't use Uber. I only downloaded Uber and Lyft for this trip. So we had a Tesla pull up finally. Oh my god, y'all, with that luxury setting on the Uber, we had a Tesla coming to save us. Now, morally, ethically, I didn't feel great about it. But I was desperate at this point. Mind you, I've never driven or rode in a Tesla before, so when I pulled up and I saw that the door handles, aren't even sticking out, I was like, oh my quote, I don't know how, but the power of God overtook me and told me how to open that car door. And I truly believe that. So, we get to the Tesla, and my girlfriend tells our driver, oh my God, are we so glad to see you. We've been trying to get a ride for the past 2